Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Molly from the Bureau of Student Wellness, and we're going to give people just a minute to tune in to our morning session.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Susan Ward. I'm with the Bureau of Student Wellness at the New Hampshire Department of Education. These are my colleagues, Molly and Catherine. And I want to just thank you so much for joining us this morning for our morning coffee chat. And we'll be live the rest of the week, each weekday morning at 9, or we'll be providing previously recorded sessions on some of the past videos that we have created. So we'll also be live at 3 p.m. with the Afternoon Bell Wellness Hour. We'll be hosting guest speakers each day. So please make sure you tune in then. But for today, we will be starting the week with our appreciation for teachers, as it is Teacher Appreciation Week. And every spring, schools and families celebrate and appreciate their teachers. But this year, it's looking a little bit different. Some of the celebrations that used to take place in the actual school can't happen the way it has in the past. And even though our schools are closed and learning is being done remotely, we can still take time to appreciate our educators. So I'd like to open up the discussion between us with why is Teacher Appreciation Week important to us?
That's a great question. I think in two ways it's important. I was a teacher, so I did, I did love seeing the work my students created during Teacher Appreciation Week, and it was nice to have that kind of celebratory time, especially it can be a challenging time with testing and all those types of things. So it was a great break up to that. But also I appreciate teachers. I mean, I work for the Department of Education, and we know teachers work so hard and oftentimes aren't exactly recognized for everything they do, not just in the classroom, but on their weekend time and after school, stay late, come in early. So I think it's a great thing to recognize.
Yeah, I think we all have sort of the intrinsic idea or hunch that we need to be recognizing teachers. And if we think about why that is, our kids are often spending more waking hours during the week with their teachers than they are with parents. And so how absurd is it that we don't give them respect and appreciation every day of the year when they're really dedicating their lives to our kids? So I think that for me is one of the reasons that teacher appreciation is just so critical. Our kids, a lot of the work that we do at the Bureau of Student Wellness is based in the Search Institute's developmental relationships research, showing that like one key adult relationship can be the difference between a student having success in their social and academic life and not. And teachers are so often that one adult relationship, and that's just so crucial. So we always need to appreciate teachers, and I wish it were more than a week that we were doing it regularly. That said, I always felt that when I was a teacher that this week is always particularly hard. It's like you're almost at the end of the school year, and sometimes getting that burst of appreciation really helped to carry me through to the summer months. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Teacher appreciation is definitely so important, and it's important throughout the whole school year, not just the week. And I was also a teacher, and I look back at those memories of teaching first grade so fondly. I can remember it like it was yesterday. And being a teacher, there's nothing like having that kind of like that quiet buzz of the students working and the sound that's happening in the classroom. And if you've managed everything right, they're kind of independent and working and doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you just kind of sit back and look around and go, wow, like sometimes it doesn't feel like work because it's going so well. And then there are times where it really does. And you put your, and if you're passionate, you put that passion into everything you're doing, the lessons you're creating, the lessons into making sure every single individual student has been taught the importance of your lessons and every little facet of your lesson. To the point I used to go home at the end of the day and say, did I make sure I effectively taught every single learner today. And when I was able to say yes, I could go home and really feel good about my job. So yeah, it's definitely a great week to reach out to teachers, let them know that, they're all of a sudden doing this job in a setting that they did not ever plan on doing. So, and it's not technically, in some ways, remote teaching, it's emergency teaching. And so we always have to remember that too for these last few weeks. So
Definitely. I love what you said about the students and that quiet buzz of the classroom. And that is not an easy skill. That is actually an art and a science, I would argue. And
yeah,
to meet the needs of every single student in that classroom to the point where they're able to independently work, Susan, like that's something that folks who are not teachers, I don't think they always value that or appreciate that to the level.
it's a lot of modeling and planning and showing, here's what you do, here's what you do next, here's what you do next, and keep that routine going and making sure they're engaged. And then they just get used to, like, that's their routine. That's what they come in to do. They do everything independently. And I'm talking about 6-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
So some people are like 6-year-olds, but if you take the time to really do it right, I guess, you can do it. It's almost, you're right. It's almost like a well orchestrated feat. But when you're able to just look back and look around the classroom and see what's happening, you're just like, wow, this is pretty cool.
It is.
While the two of you were chatting, I was just thinking about why teacher appreciation is so important for the students too. I mean, just they learn by example. So showing them how to be appreciative and express gratitude, that's such an important skill to develop, especially in our younger students and in the older students too. So
yeah,
I mean, it's important for everybody.
So true.
I think that's like the perfect seg into our next question, which is what was a way that students were incorporated into teacher appreciation or teacher appreciation week that was meaningful to you when you were teaching?
When I taught, teacher appreciation week kind of culminated in this final meal that we shared with families. And, so the school actually funded most of it, but families would go out and pick up foods that they like to cook. And then we would have one big kind of family style dinner or lunch. But sharing that with my kiddos and with their families was so meaningful. It really gave me a glimpse into what their lives are like outside of our school. And it was just, and they were so proud because they got to help. So, it was just overall a really, it's a heartwarming experience to just break bread with the families. And, I teach their kids during the school day, they teach their kids at home, and now we're all together kind of, I don't know, just sharing some time. It was really special.
That's great. Yeah. We did something similar, it was a lot of family involvement, which was great. And, students and families would come in with homemade dinners to take home, flowers, homemade cards. I still have the book one of my students gave me that said, "Thank you, Mr. Faulkner." And it was about this teacher that helped him through his challenging times. And oh my gosh, talk about waterworks. I'm very passionate about education and what I did. And just to receive that was like, oh, it's just so heartwarming. So yeah, our kids are, that's why we do it, because we love them. And, we want to see them successful and give them all the tools. So it was really special. What about you, Catherine?
It's interesting reflecting because you both were in elementary schools and I was a high school teacher. And I think we often talk about this in our work, how there's a lot of focus on student wellness work at the elementary level, and then it tends to peter out. And I think teacher appreciation is even one of those elements. I mean, like you mentioned, Molly, there's sort of an SEL component to it where we're teaching students how to express gratitude. And I just sort of lost my train of thought, but I will get it back hopefully. Haven't finished my entire morning coffee, but yeah, at the high school level, some wellness frameworks really start to disappear in a way. And so student or teacher appreciation was one of those that definitely didn't have that strong community feel around it that you're describing. It was more of like, you know, pick up in the front office, there's a treat for you type of, and, you know, so that's nice. I mean, I'll never turn down a treat, but at the same time, it didn't have that same sentiment and connection that breaking bread with the families. I mean, that's their purposes. You have family engagement. That's a great, wonderful idea. So I'm trying to think how we could recreate that at the high school level too. But I will say that the committee who was focused on Teacher Appreciation Week one year had students, a group of students, make different banners for the teachers' doors with the teacher's picture in the center, and then had a bunch of kids write, you know, little words of appreciation on it. So then every morning when you went into your classroom, you saw things, nice things that your students had said about you, which at the high school level, I have to say, really means a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that was really wonderful. And I think anytime, you know, you have that explicit thanks coming from the students, it sticks with you, because that's what we do it for as the teachers. We're doing it for the kids. So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've worked in schools where teacher appreciation wasn't as lovely as I described. You know, sometimes it was all up to the teachers. It was teachers appreciating other teachers. So, you know, it's definitely a different experience depending on schools and districts and you know,
locations. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, teacher appreciation, like you said earlier, this year is going to be different than any teacher appreciation week I'm sure that's ever happened. So,
yeah.
But in that spirit, what could we do this week to appreciate teachers? We're remote, we're physically distancing. Do you guys have any ideas?
I was thinking it's important to reach out, for sure. You know, our teachers are taking time to reach out to their students, make sure they're okay. Just check the temperature of how the student's doing, what the stress level is, if they're overwhelmed. And, you know, I think it's really important that students or families do the same, because this job isn't easy when you're trying to change the curriculum on a dime so that it fits remote learning. And I think just reaching out and making sure these teachers are okay, and, you know, be an ear and listen and show appreciation. And of course, it's going to look so different than, you know, bringing a dinner to the school or to the actual parent. And a lot of times we don't know where these teachers, or sorry, to the teacher, we don't know where these teachers live. It's not like we can do a drive-by, you know, so it's a little trickier. But just reaching out virtually, I think is really important.
What about you, Catherine?
I was thinking the same thing. I was also thinking that I love seeing the different creative ways that we've been appreciating seniors and doing. On my street, there's a few, I live in Concord, and so we have a few Concord seniors, and they have hashtag senior strong out in front of the yard on their little signs, and it's definitely not the same. But the fact that we can recognize them that way and know, and then when we see the students, it's like, hey, how you doing? You can check in with them. But it made me think, how can we get creative about appreciating teachers in the same way? And like you mentioned, Susan, we don't necessarily know where they live, but if parents are filling up for a weekend art project or even an afternoon art project, making a little card or having students write nice notes, and you can mail it to the school, and the teachers will eventually get it that way. Yeah, so there's always we can reach out and just say, hey, thanks, because like it was mentioned earlier in this chat, teachers are working a lot of times more now at home and trying to juggle their own families and develop curriculum and assess things. And it's really been a hard year. So I think the more we can reach out, the better.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was reflecting back on what were some of the most meaningful things to me, and hand-drawn pictures from some of my students were like, I still have them and have them framed. You know, I was out sick once, and my students wrote me little poems about feeling better. And it's like, you know, they're young and they're kind of inhibited by what they say. So it was like really meaningful, genuine content. So if you can let your students kind of write a poem, or like you said, Catherine, some sort of art project, it really goes a long way in feeling noticed and appreciated by your students.
That's a great point.
And also we want to recognize that, you know, teachers are obviously working overtime to get this content electronic and virtual, but parents are now teachers.
Yes.
So appreciate yourself, parents, for taking on this role of teacher kind of by surprise, and, you know, be kind with yourselves that we are positive you're doing the best you can to support your students. So,
And we appreciate you too.
yeah, all teachers, whether you expected to be a teacher or not, we, you know, here at the Bureau of Student Wellness, we appreciate all teachers. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today and for liking and finding us on our social medias. Be sure to tune in this afternoon. We have a very important afternoon bell with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And they'll be talking about mental health and COVID-19. That'll be, I believe, on YouTube, but we'll put it up on Facebook as well. And we hope that everybody is staying well and that you have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
teachers.
everyone.